guys bring back, always plug me in the, just like say my name. Always do that.
Okay,
1100 ping.
Okay, yeah, I think this is where you go. Over here, yeah, over here.
What the problem is though, Mustache Malabuka, they're there to adapt, and they look really good. Pink and Anas though, in this instance, still stuck all the way in covert. Joe and Vino, it seems like everyone that's been pressured by Thomas and Tayson is left behind in the storm or having trouble bringing their way back into the game.
Yeah, it's funny. We talk about how Covert has so much loot that, you know, you can come back at any point and find something, but, you know, we're starting to get a bit extreme here. Of course, you know, these guys will have a long way to go in terms of getting out, but there are vehicles available, and we'll expect them to start making those moves now. Pink and Anas, Joe and Vino, both two great teams, right? Two very interesting teams. Joe and Vino actually won round 2. That was just before this, so they'll be looking to try and, you know, match that momentum, keep that pace up. It's a bit of a rocky start. We saw off spawn, they got out-dropped by Tayson and Thomas, which isn't great ever. But unlike most people that go up against Tayson and Thomas, they were able to get out of it alive.
And you'll notice too, if you're watching a bunch of these teams in Storm, there's a hissy noise. Your headset's not broken, your speakers are fine. It's MedMist, which is a new addition to the season. It helps a lot of teams who like to have that little bit of zone play, especially in the early game, able to do that and then move that much more as well. It makes your scouting a lot better. It lets you get these items, do the strats that Levin's talking about, especially in the end game as well. You can stay active, follow your teammate, which is one of the most important things, especially in duos. You get lost, it's not like you have an extra support beam to kind of latch onto. You have to really stick side by side with your team, and you can dip in and out of the zone at full speed with the mist. So it's a huge addition. Joe will choose to use it at the start just to bolster up, as Levin mentioned, an unfortunate drop that got beat by Tayson and Thomas. And then now they're looking good inside the zone.
We're seeing the effects of having that scuffed early game, right? You know, of course they are above on Surge, which is, you know, great positive, but you look at the loot, you look at the materials, in terms of a pathway to winning out this game, things get really difficult, right? This isn't going to be the easiest of journeys for them. At every stage in the game, they're going to be thinking, okay, how can we win this game with what we've got? If they're looking at that right now, there ain't many brick here that they will definitely take at any opportunity, but plenty more still to be done. And of course, they got teams ahead of them in the zone trying to hold them back as well.
Hello?
And imagine if like players could see the mat count that people have, like especially if there's
hard to hear
if people knew how many mats Joe and Vino had right now, they would not be allowed. Too short to go on the ride for this moment. No rally aqua. Look at this, bro. We blinked for what? A minute and a half? And they're at a god spot that shouldn't exist. Like, is this allowed? Do we have to have like a handicap on anyone aqua plays with? Like, it doesn't matter what org he's on. Doesn't matter what's going down. There's people will surge around him, though. This is going to be kind of insane. No rally on a different side. This man's an expert fighter, though. They're just letting this other team simmer. Just absolutely swelter in the heat. And now it's Scram who's in trouble. Ref's guard below him. Aqua finally safe. And no right.
Yeah, Aqua did a good job there to just hold them off. He knows that those are two players that don't have many options in terms of time, and so Ref's guard and Scram will go down. It's a shame to see them fall. One of the longest standing duos we see in this lobby. They had literally played the last 2 FNCS with each other, which was years ago now, so they go down in this first game. But no, Riley and Aqua doing a really good job there. Teams often overplay those situations, right? You know, a team around you, you know, is fighting for Surge, and you give them what they want. You give them the fight. These guys did brilliantly there just to hold them off, let the time tick down. And now, on their journey to winning this first game, things are looking pretty good. Matt's looking good. Surge dealt with.
4 teams left. And
Spider-Man Mythic in hand as well, which we know how good these can be when it comes to those moving zones.
Absolutely. It's a full 10 charges of them too. Let's take a look at a little bit of the Storm fights, or Storm Surge fights, excuse me, that were happening. This is the specific one we just watched. Scram, so much in the inventory still. Everything ready, unfortunate for him. The Archie's going in as well with Pixie. Unfortunately here too, it just seems like they're so close to having a little bit of an in at the end of the day. But it's just not possible. And that'll happen to so many teams around. This is insane though. Two big predictions, two big teams that everyone wants to be doing well. Cammy and Teak head to head with Hen and Queasy 11. I do not want these guys to fight this early.
Yeah, this is not a fight a lot of people want to see so early on. Two of the strongest teams in this lobby, for being real, right? If you're looking at just the who's coming into this with the biggest hearsay, these two are the teams that you would say.
Yeah, and if we're looking at the Jenga tower structure of this game right now, they're under pressure. Joe and Vino, who we saw before, who are also under pressure, go down. So the first place team from the last round is not going to be around for this first game.
Yeah, we got to be careful. Cammy and Teak going down.
These are European servers.
Wouldn't it?
Not only that, I mean, it kind of changes the way the whole lobby plays. Teak and Cammy, if you guys have watched any of these players play, specifically even Teak in duos in DreamHack from last year, right? This man owns, he claims the space that he's on, right? He's a very active force, a loud man on the low ground. And, you know, if he's not around, that'll give a lot of people more room. If he is, though, 11, that's where things get freaky.
Yeah, these guys are great, right? Cammy probably been the best player so far in this new chapter in terms of just solo and duo performances. As you can see here, Andy definitely looking good, right? Of course, again, got that Spider-Man mythic like we talked about. And they've already gotten 6 eliminations in this game. Most points of anybody else in the lobby. So already, some teams are coming in with the hot hand, ready to take on anybody. They don't care that it's a lobby filled with phenomenal players. They just want to come in and get some points.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only them, you know, looking hot with the elims. They look hot in general. Look at the left-hand POV real quick. Something I want to update you with. Those numbers usually mean nothing. They're just like, you know, what the team came in with and might be a team tag for them. This is now a specific live leaderboard type thing you can see. Those glowing lights from the sky, the number 1 besides the Andy and Z-Cloud right now, are showing you that they're the first place team so far in the lobby. Not every other team can see that. It's just for our POV. It's just for everyone back home that's watching. And with these elims, that is why. That's why they're so far ahead. Everyone around them, their place, their number beside their name will also be changing as the game goes down. So you have a little bit more perspective. You don't have to do math. There's no more homework while you watch the game. We can kind of just see exactly what the stakes are and how the game actually is rolling out.
Sounds to me like Shire ain't a fan of homework.
I'm not, man. Hey, do your homework, first of all. But you can do stuff you're not a fan of, right? You want to, sometimes you gotta, you know, get it done. And right now, Andy, I don't think he's a fan of this situation. He's gonna be in first for just a little bit. It might not be too long. He's already down. This is tough.
Yeah, his teammate goes down, and that leaves him all alone. And look, we've seen solo clutches so far in the season in Cash Cups and a lot, but in this kind of lobby, from this zone onwards, from 4th being a solo, it's not gonna be easy. He's got the resources to make it work to some degree, but he would rather be in this kind of position here. Janice and Vortex just 2 below, but they'll be able to sort that out with some ease. 100 above now, as you can see.
I'm going to bring back a word that you mentioned up, Levin, at the very start of this. It's called adaptation. I feel like this duo right here, it absolutely envelops that entire aspect. The very start of the season, they were the best, I feel like, out of the gate with their drop, with the way they played, how they meshed well in terms of just looking at the duo type of scene in general. And now it feels like even with this spot, they've adapted this to this lobby absolutely perfect.
Yeah, this is brilliant. They pull zone, and of course they are just tinkering along that line of being above and below on Surge, but you can see Vortex and Janice, very capable players, especially when it comes to their ability to aim. The MK rifles as well will be put to good use, and from this position they've pulled zone. It's looking really good setting up for this endgame, and a lot of other players would really want to be in their position right now, if we're just being real.
Are you sure he's still there?
Yeah. It's tough overall though for a lot of teams. You're going to be thinking about what to do next from this standpoint. Even though you do have the zone, this is Rocky Reels. This is one of the more difficult sections of endgame when it comes to the map. Lots of mountains randomly getting into the way. It's not going to be the extreme of some of the big cliffs you see around the entire Fortnite island, but you won't expect obstacles coming straight out into your way. There's a lot more open sight lines, so there's more opportunities for Janice just being an absolute beambot right now. This is crazy. Reason down to just a sliver of HP. That was Vortex that was shooting there for just a second. My apologies, but you know, you look at either one of these players, Levin, they're just online.
And that's brilliant, right? Exactly, knowing that they have the power position, players are having to rotate into them and using that height advantage. to perfection. Brilliant, brilliant stuff there from Vortex and Janice, and that's going to continue on throughout the rest of this one. Yandy, though, right? We talked about the tough task he has on his hands. 5 charges left in that Spider-Man Mythic. Should be enough to get him through first moving if he uses it right. But he's just got to stay alive. He's got to make sure nobody figures out that he is a solo, because once they do, I'm telling you, they won't let him live for much, much longer. So he's just got to stay quiet here. Just
a lot of people
peeking around, making sure he has the information on where players are, but not trying to be too overzealous, not trying to make himself too big of a target.
He's got max pull now, though, and you saw that big overhead look on the left side just before. There's a no-man lane he needs to get through. There's an entire slew of, what, 20 different duos that are going to be right in front of him, and in high ground that's going to be looking down.